Hey, welcome to this new part of the speedrun tutorial. So Sunken City level today, and yeah, I got the Byzantine cloak made by Paleologos today. So it's a lot of sliding in this level. Also, once we'll go out of bounds, we'll be able to do a lot of level boosting with very flat camera angles to travel long distances. And that's all there is to this level. Not a lot of fancy flying techniques otherwise, but quite a tricky out of bounds exit. If you're on PC, I recommend you make a save at the end of a Pink Desert level, like you play it entirely. This way it's very fast to restart the level like this, and to practice again Sunken City exit quickly. So the start of Sunken City level isn't too hard. The idea is a bit like for the ending slide of Underground. You want to jump. When you land again, you slide for a second, you jump again, and so on. Or you keep on jumping in the air if you've got a long scarf. So here I start sliding, so I jump. Usually do 2 jumps to go over the gate or left of it. Here I land in the shadow, jump again. And I like to get grabbed by this carpet. This way I can do a few jumps with a full scarf. And it can be a good idea to go for the symbol here. And then prepare for the out of bounds exits. That is here, so I'll show you it once first. So that's what it looks like. It's quite a tricky out of bounds exit, so I have to explain in detail how it works. Hi there, this is Unmesh from Piximperfect, and I hope you're having a great day. Back in the magical world of Photoshop, today we'll be learning how to go out of bounds in Journey. So I'd like you to imagine a wall. The goal is to go out of bounds behind it, and let's assume we are playing at 10 FPS. This would mean every 10 times per second the game would check for your position in game. So for example, if you go towards the wall, it would say you're here, then you're there, and then boom, you're already out of bounds. You know, if there is a collision check before the wall and after, you slide out of bounds like it's butter. But if you play with higher FPS, maybe 100, you will have a lot of collision checks here, and basically what will happen is when you get near the wall, you will have a collision checks like in the middle of it, and the game will say nope, you're not out of bounds, and you will remain in bounds. So this is why in a simplified explanation, you can't clip out of bounds here with too high frame rate. I personally got used to using 55 FPS for it, but 60 works. It's just you have to be more precise. This is how I cap my max frame rate on PC, by the way, with an NVIDIA control panel, since I have an NVIDIA graphic card. So on top of having a low frame rate, another thing that can help you is having a lot of speed, because it will space those collision checks more, so increase the chances of clipping OOB. So when you travel there, you will try to keep your left stick in the same direction to keep the speed, and move with the slide. Like if you fight the slide, you will get slowed down, so move alongside with it a bit on the right to go towards the pillar. The aiming is everything for this out of bounds exit. The place you want to aim for is around here, in the wind wall. You want to hit your head in it to be nicely positioned, and then you will slide alongside the wind wall. Usually you will hit your head at the bottom part of the pillar, and then you will slide vertically alongside it. And the moment you will hit the junction between wind wall, pillar and the ground, you will tap jump. It has to be very precise or it won't work. And you will go out of bounds, okay? So regarding the frame rate, I find that the lower your frame rate, the more you can allow yourself to hit the pillar quite high up, to slide for a long time alongside it, and it will still work. Sometimes you won't even need to press jump and you will just go out of bounds anyway. But with a 60 FPS, for example, you would have to very precisely aim at the bottom part of the pillar and only slide vertically alongside it for a very short time. The perfect way to make this out of bounds exit would be to hit it and slide directly at the junction between the wind wall, the pillar and the ground. And this is actually the only way to make it work at high FPS. Like I did it once like this at 80 FPS. And you cannot slide at all vertically along the pillar. The precision is insanely difficult with higher FPS. So this is why I play at 55 FPS. I find that it allows me to still slide a little bit vertically alongside the pillar. So to adjust my position in the air, what I like to do is to keep my left stick forward. This way I avoid slowing down by, let's say, going against the slide like this. This is terrible, you don't want to do this. So instead, I move with the camera, I turn it right or left like this to aim, I actually sometimes like to do left and right like this quickly, you know, to just adjust very precisely where I am going. So I usually do one jump, a second one a bit later, like here. Then I aim for the wind wall, the pillar and the ground and jump. So it all goes very fast, so I will show you in slow motion. So it's fine when taking off after the symbol to fight a bit the slide, like going against it like this with the left stick, because you want to land really a lot to the right of the pillar. Like if you land too far down, it will be very hard to aim at it. And you will still have time to gain enough speed after the second jump. So there you go, first jump, I fight a bit the slide, to go a lot to the right like this. And now I keep my left stick fully forward, I aim up the right of the corner, like around there, slide, and I jump. Okay? So it actually cannot work because I am playing in slow motion, so it's like my FPS are doubled right now, so I can't make it. So you should avoid to do your second jump too early like this, because you risk not getting far enough, like this. So if you land too high up against the pillar, this is what happens. See, it doesn't work out. You have to land at the bottom part of the pillar only, and for this you should always adjust the right stick, the camera stick, so you make it face more towards the wind wall to lose altitude before going at the pillar. While if you find yourself too much on the right like now, you should instead turn the camera towards the slide like this to go far enough and make it out of bounds. So, but ideally, really, the part of the wind wall you want to aim is really, it's like imagine a square, you know, you want to land diagonally. This is the junction between pillar, ground and wind wall. You want to land here and slide like this and boom. So if you jump too late, you obviously won't make it. This will happen when you bounce like this, and it's game over. And if you instead jump a bit too early, sometimes you only make it halfway. Like sometimes you slow down like this in the air and you don't make it, and sometimes the wayfarer sort of starts clipping out of bounds but not really and stays in bounds. This usually means your jump timing was slightly off, but you were almost there. The one thing you should never do when getting near the entrance is wiggling your left stick like this to adjust. This can slow you down easily. That's why I prefer to adjust with the camera. You have fewer risks of getting slowed down. Okay, so just so you know, you can actually make the entrance with the left stick sideways, like this. You see? It's more about where the wayfarer is going towards. You have to go between the slide and the mountain diagonally. Like as long as you don't slow down by going by fighting against the slide, you will keep the speed. So you have to adjust the camera and the left stick accordingly to move in the right direction. And I can prove you the camera angle doesn't matter, because I will make it with a flat camera. Like, ta-da! Okay, see, it worked. So yeah, no fancy flying is involved. I just like to push my camera fully down because this way I always approach the exit with the same camera angle, and it helps me with consistency. Okay, this was a weird way to enter the bounds, as you have seen. It's almost as if I hit the ground before the pillar. Usually it doesn't work, but if you jump before hitting the ground when doing this, sometimes you will slide a bit sideways and it can still work. But I find it a bit tricky, but it can work. I know a few players do their entrance a bit like this when they take the symbol, but me, I try to avoid it usually. I prefer to first hit wind wall, pillar, ground, rather than doing a sort of jump in advance before hitting the ground and whooshing in the pillar. Other players than me may have slightly different approach to how they jump in the air and where they aim at to make it out of bounds, so maybe watch and compare, you could learn something. Let's show a successful one last time. Your second jump, so I aim with the camera around here and jump. Okay, this was a perfect example of what you want to do. There are two other ways to go out of bounds near the pillar, like 3 different routes. So the one Rabbi Charles uses is here. He gets propelled by this little thingy, second jump in the air, and then you jump now. So here I jumped too early, obviously. You can also do 2 jumps, like you do a second jump immediately and then another one if you prefer. that's fine. Okay. And then the one I prefer is I go right here and I do a jump there, a second one after this jump fall, and then I aim. Oh, this is what I wanted to show you earlier. When you only half make it, usually it's you messed up the jump timing a tiny bit. It's what happened there. Usually I love this right entrance because I find it very easy to aim with the camera. I have a lot of time to aim for my trajectory. I find it easier compared to when you take the symbol. Maybe that's just me. So when you jump here, try to avoid jumping from the top of the dune of sand like I just did, because sometimes the wayfarer will lose footing and start dropping in the air, and you will have to do 2 jumps super fast to regain some height and make it, and it won't always work. So yeah, I always jump like now, just before reaching the top of the little dune of sand. 2 jumps, I aim with the right stick and I make it just like that. So you have to make the out of bounds exit because otherwise you will lose a minute 30 to make it inbounds. And if you do make it inbounds, by the way, you can catch little symbol in there still and you know, dive over this wall easily. And then you can try to catch a second symbol high up in the air on the right side of the slide, and then you watch the history lesson. So if you're a beginner, I would recommend you take the symbol because it only costs you half a second and it's 1 more symbol, it's useful. So for my strat, personally, I like to land in here to gain speed, and I jump now. You see, I was faster to slide because of it. Then I aim with the right stick like this and jump. Okay, once you're out of bounds, the idea is to climb this thingy. So I actually hold the jump button down, and I let the wayfarer do 2 full jumps, and it's enough. If you do 3, you will end up in the air, and then you will get slowed down a bit. You want to stay in contact with the ground on this portion. So 2 jumps it is, and then you slide with the left stick completely sideways if you want. I like to aim my camera between the mountain and between where the first slide was headed to. A bit like when I made it out of bounds, actually, same camera orientation. When I make it out of bounds, sometimes I like to push my camera up to climb up, but it's useless, I believe. Actually, you can just keep it down. Okay, so let's show you how I climb out of bounds usually. Jump. Well, I usually push it up like this, and I do my 2 jumps, but you don't have to push it up. And then you slide like here. So as a beginner, it's very hard to manage to stay far enough on the right side, because you see this little on the middle of my screen here, there is the sound, there's this thingy. It's where you want to go to land very far on the right. If you land more left, like here, you won't be able to start diving immediately. Like here you would jump, then you'll have to do like a second jump in the air maybe, and now you can dive only. Okay, here I was too much left, so I stopped diving again. I will actually go in Journish now to show you the wind walls. So I am now in Journish to show you a bit what the forced sliding section triggers look like. So basically, after you go out of bounds, you end up here, okay? Ideally, this is the part from which you will start diving, or a bit more downhill if you didn't manage to stay enough on the right, but it's fine. So as you can see, I enabled the triggers. So right now I am in a box surrounding the first sliding section that doesn't allow me to do any fancy flying. I cannot dive. So the idea is from this point you will try to jump and move towards the mountain to get out of this first box. So here I am moving towards the mountain, and you'll see when I get out of the box. Now in game I would be able to start diving. However, if you go too far north towards the mountain, you will enter this second forced sliding section there, and you won't be able to dive either way. You have to stay between the two, like I am right now, and to start moving alongside the second sliding section, okay? And then we can start following this second sliding section, always staying on the right side of it. This is the place where you can do a drop shoot if you want, or just dive over it. Ahead of us are all the buildings, the fake buildings, and you will have to do level boosting, you know, flying up and down in there, while always staying right of the sliding trigger. And you can see it's just a straight line you can follow until you end up at this point where you will be forced to start diving again. So let's assume I didn't make a good exit and I slid a bit too much downhill, so I start falling from there. So you can do a second jump and try to dive, aim for this building in here, this one, and there you can dive, you see? Oh. You can do a drop shoot, and you boost at the end of this platform, and then you start to do your dive boosts. So don't go too far left, you know, it's the forced sliding sections. I will show precisely where the forced sliding sections go a bit later. But first, what you should focus on is just going forward like I did. So you do dive boosts with leveled camera angles. Ideally you start with very flat camera angles. You aim it more down as time goes to keep on building a stronger boost. Note you can actually drop shoot on the bottom, but since you have a fake textures over the sand, it's quite hard to know where you can drop shoot. You can try to drop shoot here on the right, a bit like this, but well, in my opinion, it's as good to try to land as far as you can by doing dive boosts with flat camera angles, you know, level boost. And when you hit the ground, you just slide. It's fine. If you're a new player and you lose altitude quickly and land somewhere here, see, you can just slide. It's still pretty fast. You do your sliding, and here if you hit the, you can get a bit of speed by sliding like this. So there is a second sliding section. Here you never want to jump, because every jump will just slow you down, and then you can go to the end. Here if you stay on the left side, you get pushed by the winds. You can hear it. Twice the winds will do a whoosh, and this will give you a bit of speed, so try to stay on the left. Yeah, for a new player, this is what your the next part could look like. So you start your dive, flatten the camera a little, not too much, you know. Then slowly you aim it more down, you keep on diving more getting more boost. Then you boost a bit up to gain some height. Start the dive again. And then you see you're so high, you just dive, you know, and you go towards here. There you made it. You know, it was pretty fast. But now we'll see how it can be even better. So of course you would also manage to stay far enough on the right here by fighting the slide with the left stick, as I'm doing right now. Here I jump towards the mountain, and when I'm out of the rock, here I move alongside it and I start a dive. If you go too much on the left, you will start dropping, won't be able to dive, you see? If you don't jump towards the mountain first, but directly go to the right like here, it will take you more time to start diving, you see? I lost altitude as well, so once again, you jump towards the mountain, and then you turn the camera and you start the dive toward there. And you flatten it. So the idea is to find the flattest camera angle that allows you to dive. When you start the long dive, you want to fly just above this corner, this one. If you dive left of this corner, you won't be diving, you will start dropping. So always fly just over it or a little bit on the right. Hey, this is Unmesh again, back into Photoshop. I'd like to show you the trajectory I try to follow in order to stay as close as I can to the first second slide figure. So as I said, I fly just above this corner or a tiny bit on the right. Then I would aim for the, here you have 4 buildings forming a square. So I would aim for the one there, and I fly like in the middle or the right side of it. The left side of it here is forced sliding, so you cannot go in there. Then for the second one, I usually go very close to the left edge of it. Here is forced sliding, so same, you don't want to go too far left. So again, my flying trajectory would be something like this. Okay, and then for this last building over there, you can fly about in the middle of it or the right side. There we can see more of this last building, and usually that's it. I fly through it just like over there. So now that I have explained my trajectory, I will show you in-game what it looks like. So I do a jump here, get towards the mountain, and then start diving to the right. At camera angle, fly over the corner, just like so, a bit on the right, as you can see, to avoid sliding. Then usually is when I finally start aiming the camera a bit more down to do a little dive boost. I like to boost in the middle, like this. And another dive, like this. And then you can do a little boost. And ideally I try to land just there, because you can slide like this and gain a lot of speed. But it's quite tricky to land in here. If you start sliding from here, it's completely fine. You just do like a jump from here, move forward, and then you start your slide just like so, okay? This is a recording I did where I tried to follow the best I could the optimal diving trajectory into out of bounds to stay as close to the left as I could after doing many tests in game. There you can immediately notice when I flatten the camera, I actually look at the mountains on the horizon because they serve as a good visual cue to know if you flatten your camera enough or not. So there you see I can actually dive left of this building, tiny bit left, but I'm very close to the first sliding trigger, and then on the left edge of these last two buildings. And there I actually go into the rocks on the right part to continue diving even longer, and start sliding in there where I finally get the first sliding. But from what I experienced, I find that it's usually not worth diving this far into out of bounds. So after you have finished sliding and started dropping off the sand to initiate the very last dive, the place you want to aim for is this building over there. So it's easily recognizable, it's the only one that is quite large. And yeah, you want to aim for the middle of it or a little left, like this. And as you keep on diving, you will start to see these three last buildings appearing at the bottom. And the place where you want to dive is the bottom right corner of the third building. So when you arrive in here after sliding, I usually fall off from this part. No jump, just falling off. And immediately after I flatten the camera to do a long dive. And you aim for the middle of this building, which I showed just before on my screenshot. And then we can see the bottom buildings appearing, so I aim for the corner. You adjust camera up, down to remain at the correct height. So here, right in there, and when I go through, I push the camera fully down. I go for the light, and then I will turn the camera like this. You can flatten it if you want, and the idea is to boost. So this part here, this entrance, you see there is a wall in there on both sides. It's because the gate, it is longer than you can see it. So you have to estimate how far right you need to go. It's not easy, but it just takes practice. So the entrance is here. You'll have to, you dive like this and then you go through it without being able to see it. Let's show again the dive after the corner of this building. Push the camera fully down, turn the camera sideways, and then boost like this. So you saw I was actually pushing my left stick a bit sideways, because here you don't need a powerful boost at all and your camera is aiming a lot down, so it's fine if you waste a bit of the boost by turning the left stick sideways. We don't care. So you can turn the camera sideways and at the same time turn the left stick on the other side, to see your wayfarer diving from the side. Camera is looking at it from here. This way it's very easy to know when to push the left stick back fully forward to boost towards the gate. So let's show you a full example of the route I usually take. So I usually slide a tiny bit, jump. I try to go left of the arch because sometimes I hate it otherwise. Then I jump again after landing. Let the carpet charge me, do a few jumps, and I try to land, to time my jumps to land precisely here and gain some speed with the sand. An early jump, otherwise if I jump from too late I usually get a bad bounce. Okay, this I barely made it. I was a bit far from the pillar, but it still worked. Okay, so then here I do my jump and I get towards the mountain and then go for the dive. Very flat camera angle. I stay on the right of the corner, aim for this building, and now I start aiming the camera slowly more and more down to start building a little boost, and I do a second one like this, then I do another boost, then I get into the slide, and ideally I land, ideally I land a tiny bit further, but I didn't really get slowed down, it was fine. Get pushed by the 2 wind gusts, and then start next dive here. Oop, flat camera angle, you aim for this middle building, and yeah, you just enjoy the view. And now you can adjust the camera to aim precisely at the bottom of this next building that's coming. There is a ground at the bottom of this building, by the way. That's why we don't fly any lower than this. Push camera fully down, turns camera sideways, and then boost. And ta-dam! There you go. So Azama has found a strategy on PS3 to exit from the front of the ending gate instead of the back. Due to the low frame rate you get on PS3, it's possible with enough speed to clip through, just like when you go through the pillar at the start of Sunken City, actually. So let me put low FPS on. I have a 20 right now. And so you would go around here, and then you flatten the camera like here. This way you are boosting, and you can make it through. Okay. So okay, it was obviously cheating. You're not allowed to do this, but it was just to show you. So you may have noticed on my screen, when I started boosting, my speed increased slowly as I was boosting little by little. And this is what made it possible to cross through the gate. Like, you need to start boosting a bit early. With a flat camera angle, you aim right at it. We don't know much about this glitch, because I guess no one other than Azama really tried it. But yeah, it's possible on PS3. In the early PS3 days, the speedrunners used to go more to the right and do Dropshoot instead of doing level boost toward these buildings. They would go toward these ones, go under the fake texture here and do Dropshoot. So if you have watched my Pink Desert and Underground tutorial, you should be able to do dropshooting like this. And I don't have any more tips to give you. And when they reach the end, here they would do a boost towards the mountain. So this technique is probably a little bit slower than staying in the air, but doing level boosting, but if you have troubles with it, it can be worth giving it a shot instead. And then when you land, you can try, you can get a lot of speed like this by landing on a surface that goes like this. It can transform a bit of your vertical falling speed into horizontal speed. But even if you land on a flat surface, you will still get some speed. Start the next dive here. So since you would be rather low, you would have probably to boost a little bit, but it's the same dive as usual. You remember when in-game I told you need to fly to the right of the second sliding trigger corner? Well, I just realized with Journey that you can actually fly over the first second sliding trigger, the one that's just ahead of me, this one, and you can fly over it just like that. And if you do this, you can cut a bit the corner, because as you can see, the second sliding trigger turns at an angle to the left, so there's a chance it's a tiny bit faster to fly just over it. So this is what it would look like in game. So basically when you slide here, you need to remain a lot to the right or it won't work. Then you need to do a second jump before starting diving, or you won't have enough height. And then you fly directly at the second building forming a square, remember? And here, if you stay too much on the left, you can start dropping like this, because you see there is still the second sliding trigger under me when I cut the corner. So make sure you stay enough on the right. So make sure you manage to get a really flat camera angle by looking at the mountains on the horizon, for example, or it probably won't work. And then you can stay a little more to the right here, you know, because around me is the place where I would start dropping if I were still a little too much on the left. And I have no idea if this strategy is faster than the regular one, but maybe it's worth giving it a shot, and I thought I would just show you it exists, you know.